session. Before we continue with today's presentation, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of traditional lands. Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Esquimalt and the Songhees ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. And today's session is life-changing, or I should say life.changing business. And I'm joined here by Todd Thexton, who is the School of Business School Director, and my name is Imara Angus, and I'm an Education Advisor. And today's session, we're going to be talking to some of our students from all of the different School of Business programs. And we're going to hear firsthand about what drew these panelists to Royal Roads University, their story, their background, their experiences, and you'll also have a chance to ask questions. So I'm going to welcome Todd up to introduce our student panel.
Hi, thanks. I'm very happy to be here again today. And for those of you who joined us yesterday as well for the session yesterday, welcome back. I'm really excited about having this opportunity to bring some of our current students and alumni and give them an opportunity to talk a little bit about their experiences in the program. Because I mean, for those of you who sat in on yesterday's session, yeah, you got to listen to me and Rob for 3/4 of an hour as we talk about things. But if you want a really authentic idea of what it's like to study in the School of Business at Royal Roads University, what better way than to hear it firsthand from the students who are in the programs right now and to have an opportunity to ask them your questions as well. So I'm going to start us off by just moderating a bit of a discussion here with some questions that I'll pose to our guests here today. But there will be an opportunity, as Imara said, to post your questions in the chat room, and we can direct your questions as the conversation goes on to some of our guests here as well. So we have 5 students. We have one representing each one of the 5 programs in the School of Business who are joining us here this afternoon. So very pleased to welcome Laura Thompson. Laura is currently studying, about to start her 4th year in the Bachelor of Business Administration program. We have Rhonda Webster, who's part of the BCom program, Darshan Kumar, who's with the MGM program, Susan Fox, who's a recent, or is an alumni, recent graduate the last couple of years, I think, Susan. You'll have to remind me when we come to the interview part. And William Fung, who's a student in our Doctorate of Business Administration program. So my hope is, and Imara, if it would be okay, maybe we'll, instead of leaving the slide up on the screen, maybe we'll go to camera mode so that we can sort of see each other talking as we go along here. And yeah, there's our team. Really nice to see you all. Thank you very much for making the time to be here today and to hang out with us and to have this conversation. So I wanted to start off with one question for each one of you. And the question really starts with the idea that the students or the people who are guests here are listening to us talk today are people who are in a similar position that you were in maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go to study? What do I want to study? And how do I want to study it? All of those questions that are kind of burning through their mind that the 5 of you worked through on your own. So I kind of wanted to start off by just getting a sense of what your motivations were when you started off and how you came to choose Royal Roads as the program that you wanted to study in. So maybe I'm just going to go in the order that I see them on the screen here. Hi, Laura. Nice to see you again. Nice. I wonder if you want to share your perspective around what motivated you to choose Royal Roads and the BBA program as your program of study.
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Well, I studied at a college here in Victoria and kind of did my first few years looking at business. And then I took some years off because I actually wasn't sure if business is what I wanted to pursue. But I heard about Royal Roads through a friend actually who had gone here, and she said that she, it was a really big challenge, but she loved it and it sounded kind of what was up my alley. So yeah, and then, I took a few years off and then the pandemic happened and I thought, what better time than right now to do it? And it was really interesting to do it online, kind of to start. And there's some good and bad. It was kind of nice to start online because it was a little bit less stressful. But then again, it quickly turned into me wanting to meet my professors and my classmates. And so that that was a little bit difficult, but
Yeah,
I made
no
friends
doubt.
anyways.
Yeah, it's a really interesting year to be studying, especially because you are in a face-to-face program in the BBA program. So had maybe enrolled anticipating that there might have been an opportunity to be with other students, but it was a challenging year. We'll maybe come back to that as a topic a little bit later on. But here's Rhonda. Rhonda's with the BCom program. Rhonda, what about you? What made you choose the BCom in entrepreneurial management as the program that you felt was the right fit for you?
Professionally, I have experience in entrepreneurship, so I'm naturally drawn to that. And I have various university experience as well. And I just wanted to better myself and improve my marketing ability for my business and for my clients and learn more information. So I'm in the blended program, which is not blended at all. It's all online right now because of COVID. But the blended program suited me very well because any other options that I was looking at to finish my degree meant that I had to give up my business and then go to school and then go back into business. And I thought that was really counterintuitive to why I was even trying to better myself. It was not to give up what I've already accomplished in my work, but to better it. So yeah, that really attracted me to the program, that and the entrepreneurial focus was something that I could not find anywhere like this. And so there was just a lot of positives to draw me to it.
Well, that's really exciting. I think for a lot of our students, especially those who are attending blended programs, that ability to keep your career moving forward while you're studying is a pretty big motivator. And I think that there are a lot of others, Rhonda, as well, who have similar motivations. They're already in the business and they're looking for ways to just kind of tune up their game or to take them to the next level around it. So fantastic. Hi, Darshan. You're next up on my screen here. You're studying with the Master of Global Management. So tell us maybe a little bit about what made you choose Royal Roads over other graduate programs that you could have applied for.
First of all, thanks for having me. So there were actually two things which motivated me for this program. The first was like, I'm already master's. I've already done MBA in my home country. And I worked for like 4 years in a banking operation. And for me, I was looking for something which should be equivalent, right? So, and it's a master's study and I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. So at the same time, I got this MGM where it was equivalent to MBA, but it was like more expanded. And like first year, I read all the subjects and everything. And then the second year, only 6 months, I did what I wanted to do. And I have the option to choose particularly in what field, in what area I want to focus on. And the 2 year, mostly everywhere it's like 2 years master's program, and then here I have only 18 months. And if I can save 6 months of my time, and that's gonna be a huge plus for me because I can spend that time somewhere else. I can look for jobs or do anything I want. So this was the main motive behind choosing this program.
Yes, and that 6 months difference can be a big part of it. I like the fact too that you're highlighting the fact that that a big part of your education you could customize to your own interests and your own desires. That last 6 months of the program, that you can really focus in on that area of study that's most important and most relevant to you. I think we'll probably hear something similar from William in just a minute's time. But thanks, Darshan. Maybe I'll go to Susan now. Susan, lots of MBA programs around the world, and you chose the Royal Roads MBA. What was behind your decision?
Yeah, so I'm a previous student at Royal Roads in the BCom for entrepreneurial management, and I loved the experience so much that it's not that I didn't look around, because the MBA is a big investment and
It is.
in time and money. So I did do my research and I came back to the Royal Roads program just based on, I felt that it had a social conscious to it as an MBA program that I wasn't seeing anywhere else. And that really aligned with my values and my desire to create a difference in society and the way that business is done. And that was the winning factor for me. I also like the rigor and the reputation of Royal Roads too. So it has a good reputation, but in terms of a university that is quickly gaining prestige, Royal Roads is one. And it is a thing for a student to attend a university that has some cachet, and that is Royal Roads as well. Yeah, and it just the ability to work and study at the same time, as other people have mentioned. And there is an area at the end of the MBA program that you can design to customize a little bit too. And as I understand it, it's even better now in terms of that customization.
Yeah, there are a lot of specialization options open to both MGM and MBA students now to be able to kind of move the end part of your studies toward an area of specialization that's of interest to you. So thanks, Susan. One thing that you picked up on there, that social conscious aspect of a business school, it is actually something that we're quite proud of at Royal Roads University. We are signatories to the United Nations Principles of Responsible Management Education. We're an Ashoka Changemaker campus. A lot of our programs have a strong sustainability element to it. The BBA specializes in sustainability. Rhonda, you've probably done some stuff. If you've done your venture challenge yet, you've been looking at social enterprise and raising some money. And both the MGM and the MBA also bring that. And William, there's a doctoral conference coming up in next week around socially engaged impact research that you maybe are a part of. So maybe we'll move on to you now. So if you want to tell us a bit about your motivations about coming to Royal Roads.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Thexton. So basically, I am an accountant and a manager. So for us, weighing costs and benefits is second nature. And as everybody who reads business section of the newspapers nowadays would realize, there's a lot of talk about ESG, being environmental, social, and corporate governance initiatives. And going along with that push will be a lot of what we call the GRC, the governance, the risk management, as well as the compliance measures that needs to help ensure things go along the right path, right? So I have a question in my mind. Okay, we put in so much effort to put in all these measures. How do we, is that we can measure the cost of all these initiatives as well as any benefits from it? Because we always love to do some cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah. So I was thinking, maybe I should consider doing a doctoral study in order to find the answer. And obviously, a DBA program is more geared towards professionals who want to look into things that can contribute to the professionals, whereas normal PhD programs would be more geared towards theoretical development and all those things. So I think DBA would be more suited for my purpose. At that time, I was living overseas, and I was, but already decided to move back. So that's why I decided to look for a DBA program in Canada, or at least in North America. And by chance, I happened to, because I was, as I said, I was living in Asia, and but already decided to move back. So I looked for one in North America, and just by chance, after I moved back, I go to the CPA BC's spring summit and bump into a promotional booth by the Royal Roads University there, and learned about the DBA program. And I thought, oh, timely. So I tried, and here I am. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you. Great to have you as part of our community. So thanks a lot for that. Okay, so different motivations in many ways. Some similarities in where you are in your life paths. Some commonalities in the things that attracted you, the flexibility of the learning, and so on. That made a difference, and some of it around just the theme of what and how we study here. But maybe let's go back to talking about the unique aspects of Royal Roads, because maybe students want to know what's different about studying at Royal Roads than you might if you studied at a different university. So Laura, in your perspective, like what's been unique so far about your experience in the BBA program?
Well, before entering the business program, what I thought about business, well, what bothered me about business, I guess, is essentially, you know, large corporations not minding their sustainability, their social aspects and all that. And so I was actually originally going to do the entrepreneurial program at Royal Roads, and then I actually found the sustainable one, and it, like, yeah, I got really excited about it. And I think what is really unique about this university is that because it's sustainability in this program, we actually get a lot of science learning as well. And we get to incorporate that with business. And it's a lot of like ecology. There's an ecology and business course that was amazing. I loved it. So yeah, it's just really, it seems to be really well-rounded. And for me and what I kind of want to do, it is teaching me a lot, and it's giving me a lot of, I'm learning a lot about different things that I would want to do and continue on professionally. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think there are very few universities in Canada that at the undergraduate level provide degrees that focus on business and sustainability. There are lots that have sustainability courses attached to them, but that have that kind of intentional focus on them. And I think that's given us the ability to create courses like business and ecology, which is a course that you won't see at any other university in Canada. And I'm glad you liked it. And Allison's a great instructor too, isn't she? You had a really great environmental economics course too, I think, didn't you, Laura?
Yeah, I definitely loved it. Loved it.
That was my class.
Cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, cost benefit analysis. I heard that when William was talking. So Rhonda, what are you finding is unique about the BCom program that the people that are joining us today might be interested in?
I have been absolutely moved and amazed by how involved my instructors are with my learning and how much they absolutely care about my success, and how they are doing everything in their power to make sure that not only do we understand the information, but that we can apply the information, that we can be critical thinkers with the information, that we have a social conscience with whatever business we are planning on developing or working within. And I like all of that makes me become a more thoughtful leader for tomorrow. And I didn't expect that. And I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah, I really like the words that you chose around that, and being a more thoughtful business leader. I think that's probably a goal that we as a school of business really aspire to, supporting people in achieving. So I like that you said that. And the intimacy of our programs, I mean, we have pretty small cohorts for the most part. So small groups of people, you do get a chance to know your professors by name, and the relationships, I think, I see everybody nodding as I say this. The relationships are a little bit more kind of intimate than you would get if you were studying in a big university with a great lecture hall where your professor probably doesn't even really know your name. So on our side too, as a faculty group, we really appreciate that opportunity to get to know all of the students in an individual way too. So it's nice for us too. Darshan, what about you? What unique opportunities are you finding that the MGM is providing for you in your learning journey?
Yeah, for me, because I had already done MBA like 4 years ago, and when I came in, I thought, okay, I'm not going to settle for less, so I need something more out of it. So when I did MGM, and then I did all the courses, and the best part was I always wanted to do PhD, and it's a lot of time to do, and I don't have that much time to do PhD. But the customization of like last 6 months, that provided me the same kind of platform where I can do research, and then I can use that research for my future employer, and I can use that research and I can justify my studies. Okay, I have already done masters. I did second master because I want to do something like PhD, but I was not able to do because of this time frame. But I still achieved some sort of that, and now this is what I have done, and this justifies my studies.
Yes.
And the second part, I would say, the course design, as you mentioned, like 3 cohorts and the class strength is normal, but we have, teams, and when you work in team, so if your background is like anything, accounts, business or anything, but you deal with people, right? So you need to learn how to manage people. You need to have leadership skills. You need to know how, if some people are not working, how to make them work, like how to make them work so that you don't even like, they don't feel bad for it. If they feel good for it, that's good, but they shouldn't be feeling bad or feeling, okay, no, I'm just left behind. So taking everything together, taking everyone together. So I think it was a great exposure to learn, and there was like so many things I would say, and it was a great experience.
I love it. Yeah, you're talking about the team stuff and just how important that is in today's work environment, and how so much work is now team-based work. And if you can't get that one, you're going to struggle in the world of work. And we do put a big emphasis on team-based learning at Royal Roads University. But one of the things I really appreciated you're talking about was that role of developing others, learning that skill of developing others when you're on the team, because we've probably all been on teams where there's been somebody who hasn't been performing really as much as we need them to be performing, and you got to find some way to find that way to motivate and find that way to inspire somebody to be their best self, bring their best self to the team. And that leading others piece, I think, is a kind of learning that you can't get any other way. You can't get it from reading a book. You got to be there. Yeah. Susan, how about you? Unique opportunities in the MBA program for you?
Yeah, thank you. So, and Darshan did a really good job of talking about teams, and I would definitely agree with that. That's a big value add. You need to be able to work in teams these days. There's no other way around it. And I would say though, when I first came to Royal Roads, I was a bit resistant to working in teams, and I had that mindset that I was like, this is a lot of process that I don't need to do. I just gotta get this job done on my own. And it's completely changed my my way of thinking and doing business, which has been a game changer. And so it's all about teams, and you will learn all the skills you need to just by working through your work and your teams through your program. And you like so like I said, huge value add to that. The other part too was that in the MBA program, and I have this experience from the BCom as well, is that the learning is immediately applicable. So I take a course, the theory is I'm immediately to take it back into my workplace and use it right away. And as well, we get to use, or we were encouraged to use real life problems, which was really valuable. And like outside of a case study where you have a situation at work, you can actually use it in your coursework and at the same time be developing a solution to take back to your work. But the value of that as well is that as you're discussing it with your cohort, you're learning how they might approach your problem, because they're coming from so many different industries. The diversity is amazing. So there could be a doctor in your cohort, an engineer, military folks, VP of sports organizations and not-for-profit, and even corporate business, and they all have a different perspective. So we also gain their learning. I really liked that Royal Roads' approach to past experience is valued as much as textbook experience, so that you bring that in, it's encouraged, it's respected, and that is built on as a part of the learning model.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that point into it, because I think it is that diversity of experience that is really valuable and important to us in many of the programs, and that opportunity to learn from other students. That notion that, I think in the traditional model, you think that you learn from the professor and that's all the learning that happens. But that just feels like just wasting such a great resource of so much knowledge and experience that's in the room. So I also really love that aspect of learning, not just from the professor, but learning from one another, and also bringing what you know to support other people's learning. It's a big part of the model for sure. William, how about for you? What are the unique opportunities that you're finding so far in your program?
Of course, the program itself is a rather quick pace as well as rigorous. So we have to bring our mental running shoe every time we have to keep catching up. And of course, I'm still amazed at how my other classmates in our cohorts manage to juggle their family and professional life along with their studies. It's just superhuman effort. And one thing I must say, because we are at the doctoral level, so we are learning to become like you, perhaps, Professor. So I have to say, there's one thing that I noticed, especially when we are in residency, because my cohort and we had it last year, just before the pandemic shut down the in-person learning. So when we are in Greater Victoria and meeting all of you, for me, I noticed that there's a very high level of mutual appreciation and support among the faculty member for each other's research effort as well as other endeavors. And to me, that was just very outstanding, very amazing, because it is the camaraderie that really shows, and it also flows down to students, because when you professors are excited among each other's work as well as ours, that shows, and that gives us the extra level of emotional support. And I dare say, if some people come to me and say, hey, these are fake, they're fake emotion, I say, if that is really that fake, they really deserve an Oscar for this. So yeah, I really am impressed by the level of the intensity of the love for between you guys for the work that you do.
Oh, that's interesting. That's not something that I would have known actually comes through on the student level. And it's funny, I came from my last meeting, just before I came into this one, was actually on a research governance committee with one of my colleagues that I squirmed my way into, just because I thought that the topic of her research was so interesting that I couldn't resist.
Yeah, because I learned I earned my bachelor's degree and master's degree at other universities, but I don't see that kind of the intense support and appreciation, and here is very different. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Very good work.
a lot of universities, it's really quite competitive among professors, and that is quite a difference here. I mean, we're a small group of 20 core faculty, and then a much larger group of associate faculty who would join us as well. But I do think that there is a pretty strong sense of community, and it makes me happy that you noticed that. Laura, what advice would you give to the people who are kind of on this call today? What advice would you give to them, to incoming students, about coming to this program? What would you offer?
About coming to this program, definitely be aware of how much you will be working in a team. I was actually really excited to work in a team coming into this program, especially with just the amount of collaboration and amount of international students we were able to work with. It was really great. My bit of advice there, though, is that I would work to really get to know your team. It's not something that you can maybe meet. My first semester, I had a group that, obviously it was our first team. It was the first, everything was really busy, but we didn't really take our time to get to know each other or to meet. We met only to discuss projects. We met only to do schoolwork. And then I transitioned into the second semester, and one of my teammates, he was adamant on meeting every day after class. And at first I was like, I don't think we really need to meet that often, but even if it's for 10 minutes, we were able to get to know each other so well. We were able to ask each other questions, that we were able to work together and support. So I feel like that was really nice. And then also just about in an undergrad, not everybody is going to be willing to put in the same amount of effort. And, people will have other things going on, or people will just be doing this to get a degree. And I, the first semester, I kind of let that get to me. I was like, I really want these people to work harder. I want, blah, blah, blah. But that has nothing to do with me and how I'm able to work. So I really was just able to focus on focus on what I'm doing for the group, and where I could pick up. And that's another thing about learning to be in a group, is that you're going to have to learn to work with sometimes difficult people. Mm-hmm. And but honestly, there was no like hard feelings or bad blood or anything, like just people working, different people working together.
Yeah, there were so many good points there. I mean, I like to point about the fact that teamwork is more than just about output. It's about process, and it's about how you are with one another together, and you can build the strength of the team through building the process of being together. But also appreciate your honesty around the fact that different people are motivated by different things, and at the end of the day, I mean, each one of us has to kind of own our own learning. We have to take control over our own learning and get what we're needing to get out of it as well. And if there are some people who are maybe not motivated by the same goals as we are, maybe they're just trying to get through or whatever, that's okay too. I mean, everybody's got their own motivations, but we still have control over what we can learn ourselves and what we can take out of the learning opportunities. It sounds like that's what you're doing. How about for you, Rhonda? What advice would you get? What do you wish that you had known before you started the BCom program, that you could share with other people who are maybe wondering the same things?
I think the time commitment, you definitely need to listen to the 20 hours a week minimum time that you're going to be committed to this. I tried to kind of shirk that in the early years or the early part of my first year. And I remember one of my professors, Lee Senta, saying to me that, you know, you need, not to me, but to the cohort, that you need to set this block of time. You need to set time out for yourself. And another professor of mine had said that early in my year. And I thought, I don't need to listen to that. Oh, but I did. So fortunately, I smartened up and did block off that time, because if there's one thing I would say, you do not want to fall behind. It goes fast, and the content it's deep and rich, so you need to stay engaged all the time. You need to ask questions, and you need to be confident enough to know when you don't know something, and ask right away so you don't fall behind. That would be important to know. Don't let your ego get in the way. I think sometimes people come into the program thinking they're going to get a degree to validate who they are and what they already know. But if you come in with an open mind, knowing that you're here to learn, and as more like a blank slate, right? That you're here to gain knowledge, experience, and definitely camaraderie. Yeah, and forgive yourself. So when you do slip up and have an oops, that's okay. Just pick up and go on.
Well, that's so much good advice packed into a short statement there. Appreciate that as well. Yeah, many of our programs are part-time programs. The MBA program is like that. The blended MGM program is like that, and the BCom program is like that, and the DBA is as well. And you really can't underestimate the time commitment that those take. It's possible to do it full-time work and to do it, but you need to be really committed for the full game, because the work is the same as if you were studying it full time on campus. It's not like there's less work because it's a part-time program. It just gets compressed differently into the edges of your life. Yeah, and appreciate your point about raising questions. Once again, it's that theme of like own your learning. You got to take ownership of your own learning and make sure that you're getting what you need out of the program by asking questions, or by telling your instructors what it is that you need from them. Darsh, how about you? So what was one thing that you wish you'd known before you started that you could maybe share with others?
Yeah, one thing I think before coming to this program, we should, mentally ready to accept the change, because it's a huge transformation. So you will be giving a lot of time to studies, right? And then if you are not ready mentally, and if you say, okay, no, I'll work at the same time and I'll give some time to studies, then that's not going to work for you. So because sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone, and then for certain amount of time you need to give to the studies if you want to succeed. And the best thing is the results are really remarkable, and if you're doing it, and if you're adapting the change, and you are just going with the flow the way it is, and then you're giving proper time and doing your assignments on time, and you'll do really good. But instead, if you're not prepared, and sometimes it happens like not all individuals are same. People sometimes complain, oh, nothing is going the way I want it, and I have to do this and that. But if you are willing to do it, and then the things will be really easy for you. So I think before coming, just be prepared. Like, okay, I'll be working in the team. I'll be giving this much time. I have to do this, that. So there's a list of tasks I need to do. Just get ready to adapt those things.
Yeah, so it is like clear your mind and get ready for this experience, because anyway, like you're investing a lot of money in your education as well, right? So you're going to get value out of your investment, and what that takes is exactly what you're describing. I think is that ability to sort of clear your mind, focus on this thing, work your way through it. You'll succeed at the end, and you'll get your return on investment at the end of the road, but only if you're willing to put in the work and keep your schedule clear, keep your focus, and that takes something, really, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of competing things out there in the world. How about you, Susan? What advice would you give to people who are considering coming to Royal Road School of Business?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I can't stress enough the time commitment that you're going to put in. And so I just hope that students, people who are considering Royal Roads, don't think that just because it's a work and study situation that it means that it's easy, because it's not. It's very rigorous and you will learn a lot, but you need to be engaged and you really need to put the time aside. If you've heard advice from your advisors saying that you should have the support from family and work, that's true, you should. And if you can access vacation time, don't go anywhere. You will want to use your vacation time to study. But it's really worthwhile, and it goes fast, and it's over in a blink of an eye. But you do not want to get behind it all. And I think one more thing too about teams is to, and this goes back with what we've been hearing, is that be prepared to change. Like, be prepared to set your personal agendas aside. One thing, and these are some lessons learned from both of the programs that I've taken at Royal Roads, is that there's no time to waste in trying to win when you're in a team. You need to come to quick consensus and focus on the goal and not your own ego. So, lots of time for reflection, asking yourself, like, am I here to promote the work of the team, or am I here to win for myself? Yeah. Things like that, I think are really good. And of course, the self-care is something that's really important to know too. It's like, plan to try and get a walk in each day or something. It's hard to do, but it's very important.
Yeah, good advice. So I mean, starting off with that idea of sacrifice, there's a lot of sacrifice that's involved in going back to school, and it's not just our, like us students, our sacrifice, but it's also the sacrifice of our families who are giving up time that they might have spent in leisure with us, that they're not able to. So those are important points. And I like your idea of, like, be prepared to change, be prepared to let go of your ego, and going to school, working on a team isn't about winning, right? Like it is about outcomes that are much bigger than just achieving what you're trying to, what you believe is right. So thank you for bringing those good points out. William, now it's up to you. What advice would you give to people who are considering the DBA program?
Okay. There, I thought of some very specific idea for those who actually wish to join, but let's keep it generic. Let's keep it general. Two things, because the delivery is blended with most of it being virtual. The self-discipline to me is very important, because there's no, you're not going to class where the professor or the teaching assistant is gonna, tap you up and say, hey, it's time to do your homework, time to submit your assignment. Nobody's gonna tell you that, really. So of course, there's an app or the interface that will remind you, okay, at whatever time you need to submit that work. But nobody's going to tell you, by this point you should be completing that. So you need to be very self-paced, so that you don't get relaxed too much because of the virtual nature. So yeah, that is one thing. And the other is when you get into situations in life, because many of us are doing it part-time. Yeah. And obviously you have family duties, you have professional work, and sometimes things come to a crunch and you need help and you need to for a break, then you seek help. And that part I do feel the support too, because personally last autumn I was in a bit of a crunch, and I sought the help, and the faculty has been very supportive, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, sometimes things happen, life happens, and when help is needed, do ask, because no need to force yourself into a corner. Yeah, everybody's so supportive, and that's the amazing thing about this school.
Yeah, thank you for that. That really is an important thing. Is that in almost every case there's support that's available, but you need to reach out. You need to say when you need the support, and it can be there. I also like the part that you're pointing out around self-discipline around the learning, particularly for those blended programs where you're doing most of the learning at your own house, and your professor isn't standing behind you tapping you on the shoulder saying time to do that. that it really does require quite a lot of self-discipline. I actually think that's one of the outcomes of education, right? Is that the experience itself is an experience with self-discipline, with being disciplined with yourself and focused with yourself, as Darsh was saying a few minutes ago, to work your way to your goals, work your way to your outcome. And that skill, I think, is something that can apply all through life, not just to your academic studies as well. So for folks in the audience, I am keeping my eye on the chat room here, and Imara is also doing that as well. So she'll let me know if there are any questions coming along. We've got just a few minutes left in our session here. If you do have questions, pop them in the chat room, and I'm happy to pass them along to our student guests here. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting, I'll maybe pose just one last question for each person on our panel, and that is, well, and for some of you, you're already after graduation, but I'll start with you, Laura, because I know that you haven't graduated quite yet. But what are your hopes and plans after graduation? What are you going to do with your BBA degree?
I would love to know that myself. If you figure that out, let me know. I'm just kidding. But honestly, I'm really excited for after I graduate, just with what I continue to learn about. I plan on. Obviously, I really do want to, try and settle into a job or a career that I, want to work for and want to work hard for. But I'm also not in a rush to find that. I guess I'm a little bit particular about my life. But what's nice about this program is that, and I think I said this before, is that it gives a lot of different angles of how I could continue pursuing a career. I'm learning a lot about a bunch of different industries that are really, and also we get to choose, in most of our assignments, we get to choose what company we're going to be looking at, or what corporation, or, we get a lot of choice in that. So it's really nice to be able to choose, like, oh, I'm actually interested in this solar company and what that can do. And I can do an entire project about that, which is really nice. So yeah. I guess I didn't really answer your question, kind of.
No, I think you did, because I mean, in some ways, that's one of the great things about education, right? Is that it gives you that opportunity to explore and to think about opportunities and to think about options and choices and so on. And I think that if you're using your education in that way, that's exactly the right thing to be doing. I'll come back to this question with you, Rhonda, in just a second, but I just, Valeria just popped a question in for Darsh, I think, asking, would you recommend the MGM even though you don't have experience in managerial or supervisor roles or positions?
Yes, absolutely. Because I would say, the way the MGM is designed, it's like not only for the people who have the experience, but it's also for the freshers. If people who want to continue their study, like if they have done something in the studies, but they didn't work at all. And this is a great platform for them as well, because for the first year, you'll be learning a lot of things. They'll be learning economics, business, leadership, and there are many things. But at the second year, you can customize the course based on in particular field you want to go. So this is one option. And also you can specialize in some finance courses, leadership courses, and whatever you feel like, you can go in that. So that's the beauty of the course, actually. I mean, it's not limited to some sort of people. If someone has zero experience, he or she can enroll for it. If someone has 5 years experience, they can go for it. 10 years experience, they can go for it. That's the beauty of it. So I would definitely recommend for anyone with zero experience, I would say just go for it. It's a great opportunity and you don't want to miss it.
Oh, thanks, Darsh. And you're quite right. I mean, that foundational year in the MGM program really does contain a lot of those foundational courses, the functional areas of business. So even if you haven't been in business in the past or in management in the past, you're getting that foundation. You're kind of learning all of those different business functions and so on. Okay, maybe I'll come back to you, Rhonda. And Imara, am I okay to go 4 minutes overtime?
Yes, you are. Sorry, I was giving you a thumbs up there. You can keep going.
Oh, there's the thumbs up. Oh, and Andrea too. Thanks to both of you. All right, well, maybe take a few minutes. We'll just let others answer this question. Hopes and plans after graduation. Rhonda, you're not quite at graduation yet, or are you at graduation? Not quite?
No, not quite at all. 2022, so I'm quite a ways off.
Okay, yep.
But funny that you say that, and it's so exciting to hear Susan talk, because I already talked to Ross about moving into the MBA program. But yeah, so it's interesting. What interests me afterwards is, one of the things that was interesting to me before I joined the program was a design thinking, human-centric model approach to problem solving for businesses. And I was fortunate enough to make the design thinking team at Royal Roads this year too. So I've really got immersed into that. And that is an avenue that I'm extremely excited to learn more about. And we do get to learn a lot about that in our entrepreneurial program.
Yes.
And it's given me connections already, where I've connected with an organization in Waterloo, Ontario, and I have a meeting next week, myself and another classmate, to start doing an internship with them. Just the connection was made through Royal Roads, and then we we met with them and suggested that we would be a good addition.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so it's exciting to know that something that I've been interested in for a year, and then learning it at Royal Roads and getting to experience it and put it into practice. And then my end goal would be to continue on and provide this as a business service in my community.
Oh, that's fabulous. Fantastic. So you're literally thinking of taking a model of innovation and entrepreneurship and innovating a new business venture for yourself out of it as well.
Exactly.
Love it. Yeah, the design thinking piece is huge nowadays, right? Creativity, innovation, and design is such a highly demanded skill out in the labor market. And I know the BBA program has a design thinking element in its field school. I know BCom is all over design thinking. The MBA program in its final residency uses a design thinking approach or incorporates a design thinking approach to business solutions. And so yeah, it's really good to hear that that's been a theme that has resonated for you. Darsh, you're done now, right? You're through your 18-month program.
Yes, I graduated last month. And
so you graduated, yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. So yeah, nowadays I'm just working on some certifications to do the work, to grab the opportunity and the position I aspire. And at the same time, I'm also the project which I done in MGM. I'm also in the process of publishing it online. And yeah, so that's the two things I'm working on now. And maybe like after a couple of months, I'll look for the job. And just as of now, I'm just keeping my blade sharp so that I can just slash the job I need.
Nice. Yeah, good for you. And that's not a bad approach either, hey, is to add those professional certifications onto your credentials as you're transitioning out of graduating, because they do carry a lot of weight. And I know a lot of our specialization streams in MGM and MBA actually are affiliated with professional credentials as well. So you can work towards your professional credentials as you're working on your specialization in a variety of different areas: management, consulting, project management, human resources management. I can't even remember them all. Thanks, Darsh. Susan, you graduated a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I graduated in 2020. And well, not quite 2 years ago, but feels like a long time ago. But yeah, so no, I mean, it's done everything that I wished the program would do in terms of helping me with my goals of consulting, continuing to work in community development, and again, so my big area of social purpose organizations, but then also allowing me to start coaching with businesses that are resource-based or First Nations businesses and such too. So like such a broad depth and that came from not just from the program curriculum, but from the networking in the program. So yeah, all of that being realized. And then I've just been really fortunate to be offered, and I've aspired to working in education. So really fortunate to be offered some education opportunities where I'm advising with Royal Roads and assisting with some classes. So yeah, I had literally all of my, like, without sounding corny, my dreams are coming true.
I love it. Yeah. And we're happy to have you as part of our team too, Susan.
Thank you.
William, how about you? What are your hopes and plans after you get that DBA? What's next for you? How are you going to use it?
that hopefully, like the Muslims would say, inshallah, right? God willing. Hopefully I can complete it and in a few years time, because usually it's a 4-year to 5-year program, right?
Yeah.
So my pursuit is more geared towards the personal fulfillment, to find the answer to that to the question that you asked about in the first query. So after that, I'll see what comes. But of course, I hope that what I derive, the answer to my question, may help the professions that I belong, being accountancy, corporate secretaryship and corporate governance, internal auditing, as well as business valuation. And afterwards, just like Laura, let's see what opportunities there are and how I can contribute my effort. But one thing is for certain, whatever is learned along the way, like it's lifelong learning. And whatever is learned along the way, nobody can really take it out of my mind. Yeah, so everything, from the birth till the day we leave this world, every day is learning, and it is good to keep up the study.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that perspective. I love your motivation. It's, what is your motivation? To get the answer. That's the motivation of a true scholar, William.
Yeah.
Okay, I've come a little bit over time here, but Laura and Rhonda and Darsh and Susan and William, I just want to thank you all so very much for giving up your time this afternoon. And for those of you in the audience, for spending the last hour with us talking about our programs and getting a chance to meet these really wonderful and dynamic students who we're proud to have as part of the Royal Roads community. Thanks. Amara, would you like me to pass it back to you?
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you, Laura, Rhonda, Darshan, Susan, and William. It has been so informative, and I'm sure everybody in the room feels the same way. They've learned so much from you sharing your personal experience and your experience with Royal Roads University. So thank you so much. And I am so excited to also kick off the closing remarks for the inaugural virtual open house. Here we are. You are all here to witness that this is the end of our 4-day session. Thank you for everyone who was here for the full 4 days. It's been an incredible event, and we've met so many people from all around the world. And we really could not have hosted this event without you here in the room, without everyone, without our faculty, our staff, our alumni, students, and a bunch of behind the scenes support. Basically, the whole Royal Roads community pitched in for this event. So thank you all. And we'll be sharing recordings of all of the sessions out by email later next week. Let's say next week. We have almost 30 different recordings to share out with everybody. And make sure you stay connected with us. You can connect with us on social media through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. If you have any questions, make sure you connect with our knowledgeable enrollment team. And we really look forward to welcoming everybody to the Royal Roads community. Thank you again. And I guess this is the close of our event.
Thank you, Amara, and thank you for everybody on the team too.